All right, demo time. So this is the dashboard that you'll see once GrabbrApp is formally live. It's going to look a lot better than this, thankfully. But this will be the dashboard that you actually see, and we'll show what the requests and the responses look like here in a second. You'll run your query up here. That will grab an SSL cert, pull it down, and then you will have all of your results stored here. So let's go ahead and look at the previous example that I ran through in the newsletter. I think it was the last week's newsletter. If you want to get those newsletters and kind of get a more intimate, I guess, look at how development is going, then you can sign up on GrabbrApp.io, and there's a little explainer here that kind of tells you basically how all of this works. Essentially what GrabbrApp does is it puts a middle layer in between you and the malicious infrastructure that you're trying to study. So that middle layer is made up of VPSs that you will send your requests through and will detonate every, either 2 hours or when you actually make the request itself. Those single-use servers are going to be like kind of a premium API feature in the future, but as of right now, they detonate every 2 hours and replace themselves. So let's look at our dashboard. That previous example that I ran through was a phishing domain that I was sent via text, I believe, and it was to qwtups.com. Basically, it was impersonating the UPS domain. So if we go over here to qwtups, we can see what it looks like. Maybe, let's see, qwtups.com. There we go. So as we can see, the request itself was sent on the 20th of June, and the cert itself was created on the 15th of June, so about 5 days before it was sent to me. It was created via Let's Encrypt. I explained this a little bit previously. Basically, Let's Encrypt does not immediately mean that something is malicious, but it's a fairly good sign that it might be. And it is only linked to this one domain name, this qwtups.com domain. So if we go back over here to the actual UPS certificate, we can see quite a few differences. One, it was created significantly, or it was renewed significantly earlier, and it was renewed or issued via a legitimate certificate issuer. So Komodo is a massive, certificate issuer, well trusted, blah blah blah, and it's not just some guy running Let's Encrypt on his, command line. It's a legitimate, cert issuer. And if we look at the DNS names, this is a lot more striking. So we've got basically every UPS domain imaginable that is linked with this cert, or that this cert is linked to. So it adds an air of legitimacy. That's kind of the idea of having all of these DNS or all of these domain names linked to a given cert, is basically to say, hey, if you don't trust just this domain, you can trust all of these other, I think it was like 100 something domains that's linked with this. It adds a bit of legitimacy, and that's kind of like one of the reasons why I wanted to focus on SSL certs first, is because it's a fairly easy and like initial use case, and B, because it can be useful like right off the bat by comparing these two certificates. Like now, if I look at this, I can see that ups.com uses a different certificate that is probably not at all related to qwtups.com. It can kind of tip me off that something might be a scam, or at least might not be quite right. So lots of things that I've got to work on in the future. I was up until about 3:30 in the morning this morning. I've got a lot of bugs to smash. There's some weird things that aren't working whenever you like open a new tab. For some reason that throws everything off in the UI. And there are some bugs with the API that I need to work out just to kind of make things faster. The UI is also a little bit glitchy. The API itself works pretty damn well. I was fairly surprised to see how well that works. But the UI needs some work, which is kind of like, I mean, I'm a back-end developer that's pretending to be a full-stack developer, so that makes sense. So really that's about it. I think, working out those glitches, getting payment in place, and making the UI look at least slightly less ugly, that's going to be all I really need to do to get the ball rolling on launching hopefully next week. If you want kind of an update on when I'm launching, what I'm working on, things like that, obviously YouTube's a good place to do it, but you can also catch it on the newsletter by going to GrabbrApp.io. Take it easy. Peace.